I think the India gem and jewelry market is more or less wasn't ready so much for it. 25% when it was implied on the gem and jewelry industry. The other 25% we were hopeful that it may not come in. But as of now, 1 lakh, more than 1,75,000 to 2 lakh karigars, which are already employed in Surat and Seeps and Jewelry Bazaar here, and some places in Calcutta also are going to be affected from this. However, we as manufacturers and wholesalers have made alternate routes by increasing our marketing all throughout all the states in India, in UAE. We are doing it in UAE and Saudi, Qatar, and other markets also, which we are looking at. The FTP, which has happened between UK and Australia, is affecting in a positive way to the gem and jewelry industry, and we are hopeful that in the coming 3 to 6 months we will be able to nullify the effect of the US. But however, we are hopeful that good sense should prevail in India, in the US market, in the US, wherein Trump takes a decision again to roll back the tariffs from 50% to maybe 5% or 7%, which is absorbable by the Indian markets.
राजस्थान में जो हैंडीक्राफ्ट इंडस्ट्रीज है, मेनली उसके पॉकेट्स है जयपुर, जोधपुर, उदयपुर, चूरू। यहाँ से आप लगभग राजस्थान का हम टोटल हैंडीक्राफ्ट एक्सपोर्ट गिनते हैं 9,000 करोड़ रुपये। 9,000 करोड़ से 50 से 60% अकेले अमेरिका जाता है। अमेरिका में अभी हमारे प्रोडक्ट पे टैरिफ 0 से 12% के बीच में अलग अलग कैटेगरी के हिसाब से था। अब हम ये मानते हैं कि वो 50 से 62% हो जाएगा। तो ये होने से हमारे बायर्स ने लगभग सबने हाथ खड़े कर दिए, ईमेल्स भेज दिए, रनिंग ऑर्डर्स भी रोक दिए हैं और आगे भी ऑर्डर नए देने को तैयार नहीं है। तो ये मान लीजिए इसमें हैंडीक्राफ्ट में सबसे बड़ा ये लेबर इंटेंसिव सेक्टर है और इसमें बहुत बड़ी संख्या में राजस्थान में लोगों को प्रत्यक्ष और अप्रत्यक्ष रोजगार मिलता है। तो अगर मैं प्रत्यक्ष की भी बात करूं तो हैंडीक्राफ्ट में राजस्थान में करीब 3 लाख लोगों पे इम्पैक्ट आएगा अमेरिका के एक्सपोर्ट का, क्योंकि हमारा 60% के लगभग अमेरिका जाता है हमारा हैंडीक्राफ्ट का। वैसे अगर मैं राजस्थान की बात करूं तो हैंडीक्राफ्ट, गारमेंट, टेक्सटाइल, मार्बल एंड ग्रेनाइट, जेम एंड ज्वेलरी और इंजीनियरिंग, ये मेन इंडस्ट्रीज हैं। लेदर का थोड़ा काम जोधपुर वगैरह में होता है, दरी कारपेट का भी होता है टोंक में और जोधपुर में। तो इस इंडस्ट्री, ये लेबर इंटेंसिव इंडस्ट्री है, 50 से 60% रोजगार देती है और इन सभी इंडस्ट्रीज का 50 से 60% अमेरिका को माल जाता है, जो कि अब बिल्कुल जीरो होने की पोजीशन आ गई है। तो बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट इसका राजस्थान पर आने वाला है।
So this 50% tariff applies on about 2/3 of Indian exports. About 30% of the Indian exports are exempted. There will be no tariffs on them. These are petroleum products and smartphones, pharmaceutical products, APIs, etc. So there is no tariff on them. On about 4% of the products, which includes mostly half of our auto component exports to US, they will attract not 50% but 25% tariff. The remaining 2/3 of India's export to the US, they will be attracting 50% of tariff, and it will be bad for most of the labor intensive sectors. The problems with many sectors is that the share of US as destination market for India's global exports is very high in some of the sectors. These will be affected mostly. For example, for diamond, gems and jewelry or gold jewelry, the share of US is about 40% in India's global exports. So till now, the products were going to US at 2 to 3% tariffs. Now suddenly more than 50% tariff will be applied on them. 2-3% plus 50%, 50 to 53%. So they will be totally outpriced. So competitors from say Thailand and many other countries, they will be replacing most of the Indian exports. Some of the diamond people, they may be shifting their operations say to Belgium to cut and polish large value diamonds and exports from there to the US. So it will be a loss for them. Second, we can talk about textiles and garment industry. Here also the exports to the US is more than 35% of India's global exports. This will also be affected, and India's nearest competitors in the US market for textiles and garments are China, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and all these countries, they face far lower tariffs than India will face. So most of the Indian products will be phased out from the US market until some tariffs are brought down. Third, we can talk about, say, shrimps. We export about $2.5 billion worth of shrimps, frozen and processed, both to the US market. And again, it already attracts about 7 to 10% anti-dumping duties in US and countervailing duties. If we add 50% tariffs over and above this, so they'll be facing 57% to 60% tariffs in the US. So this cannot survive the competition from countries like Chile, which face only 10% tariffs in US market, or Ecuador or Canada. So all these sectors will be affected. So we have two broad options. One, the bigger option is that local markets. Our exports are just 20% of Indian economy, and Indian market is very big. It absorbs 80% of Indian production, and there is scope for further absorption of this because Indian economy is growing at 6 to 7% annually. So it can happily absorb some of the shocks in these sectors. And second, and great option is searching for other countries to divert some of the exports which we cannot export to the US. And for this, government is making an effort to expedite FTAs with this European Union, and we already signed an agreement with UK. So efforts are on to implement that quickly. A few more FTAs like with Peru and other countries are on the line. So with all these things, we hope that in few months' time we can largely contain the adverse impact of US tariffs.
I think we need to wait for the final impact to come now, because today is the first day where this tariff imposed additional 25% has come now. So we need to examine this entire impact and how long it is going to continue there. I think let us wait for some time and then you see the impact. See, India is a well-developed nation and we have so much internal requirement. I think I don't see major challenge going forward. And see, whenever any such crisis has come world over, whether the 2008 crisis or the COVID, I think India has come out very, very successfully. We have grabbed the opportunity. So whenever such challenges comes, I think country like India, with the leadership that we have, I think we are going to seize that opportunity and come out successfully.
थोड़ा बहुत असर जरूर रहेगा, पर जो 50% टैरिफ लगा हुआ है उसका बहुत ज़्यादा असर शॉर्ट टाइम के लिए होगा, बाकी लंबा टाइम के लिए तो वो ठीक ठाक हो जाएगा। मतलब ऐसा है कि वो जो प्रोडक्शन है वो पूरा प्रोडक्शन इंडिया के पास है, 90% तक प्रोडक्शन सूरत के पास है। इसलिए दुनिया का कोई देश अमेरिका को वो जरूरियात पूरी नहीं पाड़ेगा, इसलिए इंडिया पर ही निर्भर रहना पड़ेगा। इसलिए मेरे को लगता है कि शॉर्ट टाइम के लिए चौक्कस उसकी इफेक्ट रहेगी, लॉन्ग टाइम के लिए वो सामान्य हो जाएगा, जनरल हो जाएगा। अभी 25% लग रहा है तो थोड़ा थोड़ा मंद व्यापार तो चल रहा है, पर इतना स्टॉप नहीं हो गया है। बिजनेस में तो ऐसे आता है, जो टैक्सेस जो 25% बढ़ा है वो तो अमेरिकन प्रजा पर लगेगा, उसका इंडिया पर कोई दिक्कत नहीं हो। गोल्ड का भाव एक साल के पहले 7 लाख था 100 ग्राम का, आज 10 लाख है तो लोगों को खरीद रहा है। ऐसे अमेरिका में जो व्यावहारिक जीवन में डायमंड जुड़ा हुआ है, इसलिए मेरे को लगता है कि थोड़ा टाइम के लिए रुकेगा, बाद में तो वो चलने वाला है। क्योंकि दुनिया का जो वर्ल्ड का 200 देश है उसमें से और सोर्स ढूंढेंगे तो वो तो वहाँ मार्केट मिल जाएगा हमको।